Hi everyone, and welcome to episode 4 of Comics from the Multiverse, the DC Comics podcast from the Mailed Fuzz podcast network. I'm Peter Bradley, and joining me on this trip through the multiverse and the Speed Force, and is there a third DC thing we can travel through? I don't know.
Well, we'll talk about the bleed later, but that's way later.
Matt, that's the voice of Matt Sculthorpe, ladies and gentlemen.
What's up, people?
Also here, DC's got a ginger, we've got a ginger, Connor Ryan's here.
Everyone needs one.
We try to get ours
Needs,
back.
needs might be a strong word.
Yeah.
But
They were accepting no returns.
I don't know, if I could trade you in for any other person, Connor, I probably would.
I know some that you would definitely not.
Let's not name names, Matt. Let's
No.
not name names. But this is a DC Comics podcast here, and we talk about DC's books every week. And this week we've got a bigger slate than we've had so far, because we've got... And the weird thing about the books now is because they're on this double shipping, and they're on quite a strict schedule right now, until things start getting delayed, every second week is very similar in terms of what we're talking about. So this week, we're going to be talking about Batman issue 1, Superman issue 1, Green Lanterns issue 1, Green Arrow issue 1, but we've also got Titans Rebirth issue 1.
Yeah.
That's their fault for Teen Titans and Titans.
Right.
I'm not accepting blame for that. But we also have a holdover from before Rebirth, which is Justice League 51, but it's actually worth talking about because it kind of ties into things, and,
Yeah.
it's relevant.
Is it a leftover? That's, I didn't mean to say is it. I meant to say isn't it? But
Yeah. Interestingly, it was solicited for last week after being delayed several times before that when it was originally
Yeah.
other things, but then they got resolicited. 51 and 52 got resolicited, but they're determined to have it go to 52.
yeah.
So they're like, no, we're doing
you
something.
really feel like, look, John's finished at 50. Just put it to bed.
I don't know. They really could have made Justice League 51 and 52, which are both one-shots related to other books. They could have easily just said this was like, oh, this is Titans 1.5, just a one-shot to, it could have easily been called that if they wanted to. Not that I condone .5s. Not that I condone that at all.
I think
I
what's
give
weird,
that
though,
speech a
is-
3.5 out of 8.
What's weird is they cancelled the rest of Hitch's JLA. But then
Is that such a bad thing, though?
no, but it feels weird that they did it to that. With this, they
But
were just like, no, it has to come out.
Had Hitch's JLA been almost at 52 though, they would have pushed through. They would have found a way.
Yeah.
Quite possibly.
Yeah. What will be interesting though is when this will be like collected. Will it be collected in like a final Justice League trade, or will they put it in the first Titans one?
I bet on Titans.
Yeah, that's what I feel as well. But it's just kind of weird. But that's the books we're going to be talking about today. So we'll get 6 books. And they'll be timestamped and all that for you if you want to skip to those. But before we even get to the books, we've actually got a little bit of news this week. Next week we will have the full solicits for September, so we can talk about everything that's coming in September. We'll go through, pick out what's interesting and all that. But as DC tend to do, before we get the full solicits, they give a few exclusives out to different websites. And to keep up with it all, you have to look at about 6 different websites to see everything. And
Yeah.
so we've got a couple of notable things to talk about first. So they've announced that in September we're going to be getting a Batman crossover. And it's going to cross over between Batman, Detective Comics, and Nightwing. And before I even talk about what this is and who's involved, what I think's interesting about this is that it's all the double shipping books that are going to be part of this. And it kind of ties into something that we were talking about off air online, is that this is actually kind of a neat way to give all the regular teams, a break to like try and like
Yep.
catch up again before, so they don't fall behind on the main books. Because it's different teams that are going to be doing this crossover. So, but what it is, it's called Batman and the Night of the Monster Men, and it's been pitched to us as what if a kaiju monster showed up in Gotham and Batman and co had to deal with it. And you've got me already. Like, I'm sorry,
I love it.
it's great.
Because Superman and Green Lantern fight big guys, right?
Yeah.
Batman does not. Batman stays at street level. So the
Yeah,
fact that they're
he gets the
bringing it in-
psychopaths and he gets the,
Yeah.
Do you know what I find especially interesting? Like you picture there as what, like essentially, what does Batman do against this style of threat? It's very similar to what we got in this issue 1 of of
I
Batman.
agree. Yes, we'll be talking about that later, but I agree with that.
Yeah.
So I think this is really cool. I think it's, like I say, very interesting. It's all the double shippers. All the single shippers, which is the Batgirl books and other things, aren't affected by it. It's also worth mentioning that it's a 6-issue arc. It will start on the third week in September. I can't remember the exact day. I think it's the 21st of September. And it'll be finished in the second week of October. So it'll take place over 4 weeks. So it'll actually be done really quickly. So the funny thing is we'll still get, in September, before it starts, we'll still get 1 issue of the regular teams on those books. And then in October, after the crossover, we'll still get 1 book for the regular teams. So it's interesting how it's playing out. We're still getting at least 1 issue from the regular books in both months, which is really nice.
And I think the fact that it is a separate writer will make it feel like a separate standalone story.
Yeah.
So if you don't want to invest in this crossover, if you're only reading one of these books, it makes it really easy to skip it. And then the fact that they're all double shipping and this is literally only coming out over 4 weeks means there'll only be a month between issues, really, of what you're getting, 6 weeks at most. And you won't really feel that weight.
Yeah, and one of the things that's interesting as well is Steve Orlando's the one who's sort of overseeing the writing. I'm sure he's going to be writing some of the issues, but probably not all of them. But he's the one.
He's probably plotting, and then someone else will do scripting on a few of them.
Yeah, and he's overseeing it. And there was a big interview with him, and he was saying that if you are reading Detective, Batman, and Nightwing, thematically, a lot of the things that are going on in those books will actually tie in quite nicely to this. And that Batman's dealing with new characters that have shown up that we're going to talk about later. Nightwing's, try to get out on his own and prove himself, and Detective obviously is building a team. So that's the really nice thing about this, is we're going to get all that team from Detective showing up in it as well, and trying to help.
They should, because when giant monsters attack Gotham, you want all hands on deck.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is when Alfred. Call in the reserves, please. It's time.
But even thematically, like I just said, it ties in with this idea of what King is doing with Batman already.
Yeah, all of it comes together nicely. So it's nice that it thematically ties in. Other things to mention is Riley Rosmo is drawing 2 of the issues, but he's also handling the overall designs for the monsters and things like that are coming in. So he's sort of overseeing the art, just like Orlando's overseeing the writing for the books and the arc. It's actually a homage to one of the stories from Batman issue 1, and not today's Batman issue 1, Batman issue 1 from 1940. So there's a nice sort of classic sense, and if we're talking about Rebirth being about legacy, maybe this is also a nice little...
Hey, you want to see who is the main villain in that story, Pete? Professor Hugo Strange.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, Hugo Strange. Yeah.
Oh, look at that.
I don't think he's going to show up in this, because it sounds like it's just bigger things. You think he's going to show up?
I wouldn't put it past them to have someone like Hugo Strange bringing them all in.
I mean, I'm not saying they definitely won't. I just
that would also. I mean, last week you speculated about the enemy and Detective.
Yeah.
True.
So that's what I was saying.
True. That
and
could
if they're playing it in, then
Well, what's also interesting is this starts in Batman issue 7, which is interesting because it means that we'll have the first 6-issue arc of Batman and 6-issue arc of Detective just nicely finished.
It must be on what, 4?
Yeah.
It starts in Nightwing issue 5. Well, at least that's the second issue of the crossover. You know what I mean? That's the
That's the first.
Yeah. So the issues this will take place in, just to clarify, is you'll get Batman issue 7 and Nightwing issue 5 on the same day. Then the week after that, in the last week of September, you'll get Detective Comics 941. Then the first week of October, you'll get Batman issue 8 and Nightwing issue 6. And then the second week of October, you'll get Detective Comics 942. And that's the whole arc. So I'm actually quite excited about this.
I hope they're labelled nice and clearly so I know which ones to read first. Because occasionally there is a problem there.
Well, he said that Orlando said in the interview they're very sequential, so it'll clearly say part 1 of, Well,
I liked it on the last Superman crossover before Rebirth, where it was on the cover.
Yeah. So, no, that's the Batman and the Night of the Monster Men.
Which I thought, because that title sounded familiar. There was also a Matt Wagner story, Batman and the Monster Men.
Yeah, I've read that. That was because it was he did 12 issues, and he did half of it was Monster Men, the other half was Mad Monk.
Yeah.
And that was fun. But
I just had to pull that up because it's a title that keeps popping up, which is real cool that you do with Rebirth. But
I believe this is the first time it's going to be kaiju-sized things, though, so that's quite cool.
Of course.
So other things that have popped up in the last day, in terms of early solicits and for new stuff, we've left some of the books we already had before September. We've left them off the table till the full solicits because I think it's just more interesting to talk about the stuff that's new. And one of the things that we didn't know about at all is a new 6-issue miniseries for Raven, which is going to be set before the Teen Titans book, which is starting the same month. It's going to be written by Marv Wolfman, and art is going to be by Alison Borges. Yeah, I'm going with
Sounds
that.
right.
Yeah,
I'm going
seems
with that.
all right.
Looks right.
Yeah.
I will read you the text from the solicit here just to give you a taste of this, because I don't think we should do this for all the issues that get solicited.
No.
A, it would take fucking forever to do
Yeah,
it, but
yeah.
also because I don't think anyone necessarily wants to read all of the synopsises for issue 2s and 3s and all that. But this is a first issue, so I think it's worth giving you the idea of what the series is. So Raven takes a break from the team, that would be the Teen Titans, and moves to San Francisco to stay with her estranged aunt and face her most perilous challenge yet, high school. As Raven discovers more about her human side, one of her classmates goes missing under mysterious circumstances, and she must face an evil like none she's known before. So, sounds like a high school adventure with Raven.
I'm so in.
I bet that it has to do with Trigon, because it always has to do with Trigon.
Who's Trigon,
Probably.
Matt? For the people
What's
who don't
that?
know, who's Trigon? Explain who Trigon is.
Trigon's her evil Satan-looking dad that wants to claim this dimension for his own. And I haven't read a lot of Raven, but every Raven story I've read, Trigon shows up in some form.
It's true, and if you look at the cover for this, she's holding like a comic or a magazine or whatever it is, and the title is Sins of the Father.
There you go. So, them saying something like she's never known before, I'm going to call.
Yeah, I'm just I made you explain that just because I think a lot of people who maybe
sure.
jumped on for Rebirth are watching or
that's
listening
fine.
to us thinking, like we've just jumped in and they want some, some context for some of this stuff if it's new to them. So that's Raven. That's a 6-issue mini. So, and I assume that's monthly. Nothing about it double shipping.
It's kind of weird though the way it says, it's between Teen Titans 24, like the new 52, and then Teen Titans 1, the Rebirth.
Yeah,
It's very convoluted.
Yeah, I think that's just like because obviously when we get to the Teen Titans solicit, she's in it. So I think it's just to explain this is before this.
Yeah.
Now, is she wearing that stupid-looking helmet like she was in the New 52 and
No,
the
it's
New
all gone.
Titans? Thank God.
She's back to the hood. Thank God
Good.
for that.
Yeah.
So happy.
Like, when most people know your character from a cartoon show, and that's kind of the audience you're going after, I don't understand putting her in a cyberpunk-looking helmet.
Literally made her unrecognizable.
Yeah, and so the fact that they're going back to it is smart. And I think Marv Wolfman created Raven, I want to say, back in
sounds
New
about
Teen
right.
Titans.
Sounds right, yeah.
So, yeah. So, who knows Raven better than Marv Wolfman?
Yeah, Rebirth indeed. So next up, we mentioned that there Teen Titans Rebirth issue 1, which is going to be coming at the end of September. Written by Ben Percy, who's currently writing Arrow. Or Green Arrow. I keep doing that, god damn it, that show.
If he was only writing Arrow,
That fucking
Connor
show.
would drink less on Wednesday nights.
That I would.
That fucking show. So yeah, Ben Percy's writing, and we've got art by John Boy Myers. And yeah, so here's the text for the solicit then. So this is Teen Titans Rebirth issue 1. The Teen Titans are farther apart than ever before until Damian Wayne recruits Starfire, Raven, Beast Boy, and the new Kid Flash to join him in a fight against his own grandfather, Ra's al Ghul. But true leadership is more than just calling the shots. Is Robin really up to the task, or will the Teen Titans dismiss the diminutive dictator? That sounds like fun.
So good.
That does sound like fun.
I'm in.
Yeah.
Roz,
I love-
yeah.
Go on.
I was gonna say you have Ra's al Ghul back on the field, and you have a younger team, so they are Teen Titans.
Yeah.
Sounds a lot of fun.
I just love Damien. I love that he is such a dick, and he is basically an adult in a 13-year-old's body.
Yep.
And it's just so fun seeing him interact with people, but seeing him interact with people his own age is always interesting.
Yeah. That'll be really exciting, especially since they're all going to have powers, which will make him feel like he needs to.
I don't know if either of you've seen the new Teen Titans versus Justice League movie.
Not as
It's
of
a
yet.
similar thing where Damien goes and joins them, and yeah, You can. It's pretty much what you expect.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes.
I'm expecting fun, and Ben Percy's killing it on Green Arrow right now. So
Yep.
this is exciting. And the last thing we're going to mention here in the news is Batman Beyond Rebirth issue 1, which is also coming September 28th. Written by Dan Jurgens and art by Ryan Sook. Now, it's worth mentioning that Dan Jurgens is already writing the current Batman Beyond, which is also ending in September. They actually solicited the final issue of that for the same month, so that'll probably be a couple of weeks before then.
Yep.
Now, here's the solicit text here. 6 months have passed since the events of Batman Beyond issue 16. I guess that's the last one. While areas of destruction remain in the outside world, Gotham City has made great strides towards reclaiming its bright future. But new threats arise and old adversaries may be coming back. And the question still remains, whatever happened to Bruce Wayne?
Wow, really bury the lead, huh?
But that's the thing. Is it burying the lead? Because I feel like that's probably what's going on in the series right now.
This is a weird
Yeah.
one for us because none of us are reading the current Batman Beyond, but
No.
we're going to be trying Rebirth, and I'm not going to catch up with the old series.
I tried it and they were just butchering Tim, and I couldn't bear to read any more of it.
Well, and if I read Batman Beyond, I want it to be McGinnis. I don't want it to be
This
anyone
is
else.
this is the,
It is back to that, yeah.
so I'm not sure.
That's why I stayed away.
You say that, but it's interesting it doesn't mention that in the solicit.
It is a bit
No.
weird, isn't it? But they definitely said that. They made that very clear.
They did, but they're talking about how it's carrying on from the series that's ending, but there's no mention of a change of who's in the suit.
Mantle.
Yeah.
I guess we'll find out in September then.
There's my main question here is how mad is Kyle Higgins at this now? Because he was such a massive Batman Beyond fan, and that digital first series was really good. At least the first, I think I read the first 12 issues of it. So, and then he, leaves DC and now they're relaunching. So, man, it's kind of smart.
Yeah, I'm sure it's going to switch over. I'm sure this Rebirth issue will probably explain how it changes. It is just kind of weird how they've not mentioned it. Unless
It
they
just
have.
feels weird that everything else is like a fresh start of things, whereas this kind of feels like it's going to be a continuation.
Yeah, we'll have to just wait and see. We'll just have to wait
Yeah,
and see.
hopefully it'll just be this Rebirth issue being a bridging the series sort
Yeah.
of thing.
If it is a continuation and there's not much to keep us interested, it'll probably be one we end up dropping quickly, I imagine, but we'll just have to wait and see. So that's all of the early news we got this week before the solicits hit, before next week. So we can finally get to talking about some books. And I was excited to talk about books this week because I will put this on the record now. I think this is the best week we've had of DC Rebirth.
It's the most consistent.
That's fair.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't think it has any individual favourites over previous weeks, but I think the quality of them is all closer.
Okay, well, we'll see how we fare. So we're going to start off with Batman issue 1, written by Tom King, art by David Finch, and let's start there. David Finch, surprisingly, art was quite good.
Consistent.
Yeah, it's the best I've ever seen him put out.
I agree. I agree. It's actually quite impressive. I wasn't cringing, I wasn't complaining, I was just going
I think
through
the really flat colours help because they kind of divorce it and make it pop out more, whereas the colours that we've seen in the New 52, the kind of house style colours that he had for a lot of that, doesn't work for his art, I don't think.
Nah, you're right, and it's just nice to see. It's nice to be pleasantly surprised like this, which is this is one of the things when everything got announced. We went, oh, that sounds good, but oh, we've got him on art, and then it's nice to actually look at it and go, you know what?
That wasn't too bad.
Rebirth for him too. He has been rebirthed. Or
Yeah,
reborn.
definitely better than Forever Evil, right?
Yeah,
Oh, miles better.
yeah.
So, and like Connor was saying, the flat colors really help it out. Also, it was interesting that he didn't have a lot of darkness to work with, which is refreshing.
Yeah.
Because if you look at it, it's still, even though it takes place at night, it's still a pretty bright book.
Yeah, there's lots of
Considering it's
lights.
Batman.
Yeah, a
Yeah.
lot of lights, lots of at times, possibly fire, which we'll get to, but no, it's good. So I guess with that we can get on to the main thing here, which is the story, and I think we all agree that this is a nice big step up from the Rebirth issue.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed this issue. I thought this was really exciting. It was a really fun action issue that really, and like Connor said earlier, the whole conceit of this issue is how does Batman deal with a plane falling, like a plane that's going to crash, and we see this in Superman all the time. You see this in it specifically mentions Hal at one point because he says as soon as he sees the planes going down, he's like, right, Alfred, call Clark and Hal, get someone over here now.
Which I like though, because other writers, might have just had him tackle it head on, but King decides, no, he has superpowered friends. If they're close, why not lend a hand?
Yeah, he's got pride, but he's not stupid. He'll go for help when he needs it.
Yeah,
exactly.
It does raise the question before we even talk about the rest of this book. When is this set? Because if he's saying get Clark, this must be set after the first Justice League arc and the first sort of Action Comics arc because he knows there was a Clark to get.
Yeah, I assume this was after the first arc of Justice League, and this doesn't really matter.
It doesn't, but it's worth mentioning that.
It felt, until you mentioned it, I really didn't piece that together because it felt right. It felt like
it does. Yeah.
We say this every week.
I did notice
now.
it when I was reading it, though.
Yeah. So, but I just assumed, of course he'd call Clark, right? Because they're friends, so...
Yeah. I will say, I think the banter between Batman and Gordon is great. In fact, one of the moments that made me laugh more than anything this week is after Batman does his whole ejecting out the Batmobile, which, by the way, Batman the Animated Series Batmobile, yes. After he ejects...
A big old bat head on the front, on top of it.
If anything can earn Finch points.
Yeah.
Yes.
But basically, once he goes onto the plane and he calls to Gordon, and he's talking and he's like, all right, try and evacuate this place, do this, do that, I'm going to try and put it here, blah blah blah, right? And then Batman says, I'm on the plane, and I love Gordon just responding with, of course you're on the plane.
Well, he kind of had one of those too when Batman does the dip out.
Yeah.
And he goes, yeah, I always forgot he does that. That's always fun.
That one just specifically made me laugh though because it was so over the top and of course he's on the plane.
Yeah.
Already. Also, there was someone, were they in the plane where they said, why does this have to happen in Gotham? Because if this happened anywhere else, we'd have someone.
Yeah, if it was Metropolis, you'd have Superman and so on, yeah.
Right.
I like that too.
Yeah,
I love the teenage kid or whoever he is looking out the window and just seeing Batman on the wing. That's a really nice image.
Yeah, it is good.
It's kind of Twilight Zone-esque.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And then the bat signal, when the kid's looking out the window, you can see it in the clouds on the bottom, which is a pretty cool touch. Let you know where you are.
Yeah, that's really nice, yeah. And I think the action's handled really well. Like him on the plane and diving around and putting these thrusters under the wings. And then, as over the top as it is, Batman firing these thrusters off and tilting the plane to go between the buildings so it doesn't hit anything.
Yeah, but he has help from Duke. That's what I liked.
He does, but it's just such a badass over the top image of him steering a plane.
Just stood on top of it, steering it. Yeah,
it's like he's on a carriage with horses holding the he's on a plane.
But and the only reason I bring up Duke though is because they set up an Endgame that he's not Endgame, the last one, Super Heavy. That he's genius level too. So the fact that he had him calculate this stuff out, so he could steer the plane, I thought was pretty cool.
What I liked about it as well, because Matt, something you don't like with Batman sometimes is how they'll make him be too much of a impossible odds-defying badass.
Yep.
And what I liked here is that he really skirted the line where Duke's like, right, well, I've got something, but it's not going to be easy, and he responds with, I don't need easy, I just need an angle. And I'm like, I like that. I like that he's being that's a total badass line, but it's not...
It's not Batgod.
Yeah, it's not Batgod. It's I know it's going to be tough, but
that's been consistent across Rebirth. Him asking Duke for help in Detective, where he goes to Batwoman and says, "You can do this better than me." It's all he knows his limits.
Even in this, Batman with humility.
Yeah.
And the fact that he goes, "You want me to put the yellow on?" and he goes, "No, I need you. I need your brain." So I thought that was cool because that adds a different relationship with this character than he has with other guys he's been training. So, or he has trained.
So it's funny, it's exciting, and then at the end it actually gets somewhat emotional as Batman realizes that he's probably going to die landing this plane in the water.
Yeah.
Now, of course, it's a little bit cynical because you kind of like, okay, it's Batman issue 1. Batman's not going to die.
See, and
It doesn't matter though, does it?
Yeah.
It's so well written that this like conversation
That-
with
I like parts of it until he asks, "Is this a good death?" And then I was like, "Do we have to?"
yeah, sure,
do that?
that part is maybe a touch too far, but all the rest of
And-
it, like him
Yeah.
saying, him telling Duke that he should go to Dick and all that stuff.
I like
I
that.
really
I
like that.
love that. That ties in with something in Justice League actually, but I loved Batman's respect of Dick in this book. But that line is phenomenal, especially as a Dick fan. It's really nice.
Yeah,
to see.
it was that part that was like getting me. Like,
Yeah.
yeah,
I agree. That was
From
that,
henceforth, I refuse to call him Dick. He will be called Grayson, because I'm not gonna have a slip for Pete to use against me later.
it's gonna happen at some point. Let's
Hey,
face it.
Matt,
Yeah.
on this podcast, we love Dick.
Yes,
Right?
yes, you do.
Just
I love Grayson.
I like how the key thing there was Pete was saying we, and Matt was like, no,
Yeah.
I'm gonna say I, but I'm not gonna
Yeah.
say the whole sentence.
Because I've been tricked by him before, so not gonna happen. But no, I did like, and he was talking to Alfred about his parents, and it was Batman looking in the face of his mortality, and that's another thing you don't see very often. So, because he always, again, like Pete was saying, he's this guy that always, he's the John Cena of comics. He rises above everything. And,
always finds a way.
yeah. So, and at least this way it was plausible, and the reveal of how he does survive it was a nice touch.
We'll get to that in a second. But beyond just talking about how cool it is that Batman has to deal with something that Superman usually has to deal with, we do have obviously someone files a rocket launcher to do this. Which by the way, I really like seeing that in the while Batman and Gordon are talking, you just see the panels of that in the background and stuff. I really like that. But
And it's Cobra, but not G.I. Joe Cobra. It's like old school DC paramilitary group Cobra.
and we have a mysterious figure on the roof just before the end who says, "Observe the clock, Batman." Now it was pointed out to me from one of our buddies on the Mailed Fuss Facebook group that it says "Observe the clock, Batman," and then the next page, which is the page with all the emotional stuff, is a 9-panel page, all evenly laid out. Now, if you're familiar with Watchmen, almost every page of that fucking book is in 9 panels.
Yep.
So this could be us reading into this a little bit too much, or it could be very intentional.
Yeah,
There's no such thing as a coincidence.
Because this guy saying it isn't the guy who fired the rocket.
No, it's not.
No.
Because he's obviously killed the guy who has.
Well, I took that as that was Cobra with a cyanide caplet.
But his head's
Right.
blown up, isn't it? He's got a shot in the side
Oh.
of his head.
Yeah,
So
yeah, it
then
does.
So then I did not read that page as closely as I thought I did.
Yeah,
No.
not only is there a shot inside of his head, there's actually a stream of blood pouring from his body.
Yeah.
Okay. Again, did not read that page because I wanted to get to the next page to see what was up.
Yeah.
Okay, well, ignore me.
And do you know what I like about the save then? So the plane's about to hit the water, and we can see the two figures catch the plane just as it's about to hit. And what I like about it is it's so far away that it does actually kind of look like it might be Superman and Supergirl.
Yeah.
It looks like Clark and Kara.
It's
and
the
then,
blue, isn't it?
Yeah, it's the blue, and they're so far away. And then you turn to the last page, and of course, because it's on the front cover, we're expecting these two to show up. But these two new characters who are named Gotham and Gotham Girl.
They seem so old school. I love it.
Yeah.
And that's the name of the story is I Am Gotham.
Which
And
kind
that's
of
his-
flips it on its head, because as a Batman fan, you kind of read that title and go, okay, this is going to be about how Batman's a part of the city, and that's what it's going to be about. It's going to be like a metaphor type thing, and then at the end you're like, oh no, it's literally there's a character saying I am Gotham.
Yeah.
So that's cool. And I do like the touch that they've got the G inside the Superman emblem as their
Yeah. I like how even Batman thinks it's Clark as well.
yeah.
He's he just assumes that Clark was there for him at that point.
Right.
So, and I thought this was an excellent first issue. I thought it was exciting. I thought it was funny. I thought it was emotional. I thought it got the voices down, and the ending was actually really exciting and really set up a nice big cliffhanger of who these characters are. So,
And we get more in what?
2 weeks.
2 weeks?
well, 3 weeks
Yeah.
plus there's a week off.
3.
So,
Gotcha. All right.
but
Damn
no,
it, 5 Wednesdays.
I know.
Yes.
Stupid 5 Wednesday month. How dare it. But that was a great issue. Really, really, really enjoyed that. So, I guess that will take us on to Superman issue 1 by Peter J. Tomasi on the writing and Patrick Gleason on the art. Or did they co-write this one as well? I can't remember.
I think
Well,
they're
they
both credited as
always-
storytellers.
Right,
Yeah.
okay.
They're a team like Wade and Somni.
Right, cool.
Do that. So
That's nice, that's nice. And, so I read Batman first this week.
and I read this first, so
And I read Batman first, not for a particular reason, just in that I almost just have this like set order that I read the books in now, just habit, more than anything else. And I thought, oh man, that was great. That was exceptional almost, right? And then I read Superman issue 1, and holy shit!
yep.
Now I don't want to get too hyperbolic because obviously things could take a downturn and whatever, but this first chapter in this story, Son of Superman, makes me think this might end up being a very special Superman story, which is like in years from now when people say, oh, what Superman book should I read as a first time reader? Oh, you read Birthright, you read For All Seasons, you read this, you read that, read Son of Superman. Like I feel like it might be in that discussion.
Yeah.
Uh,
This is already everything I wanted it to be when I heard the premise and that it was from Tomasi and Gleason.
yeah.
Yep. I just wanted to mention too that we got some of the family in action, but that Superman's kind of like grumpy Superman. So I was worried that was going to carry over here,
Yeah.
and it didn't. So I
It is
was very
worth-
pleased.
It's worth mentioning this is set after that Action Comics arc, so
Yeah.
just to keep things
Yeah,
right,
yeah,
in
yeah.
your timeline, of things. But
So
so before we get to the main bulk of the story, let's talk about because it shifts narration to John after the first little bit. But let's talk about the first little bit first, where Clark's at the grave of New 52 Superman, and he's narrating and he's saying some nice things, as we've sort of seen the sentimentality before. The one moment to mention though is he puts his hand on the ground, and I actually forgot this happened till I looked at it just now, just because the rest of the issue is so great.
Yeah.
Like I just kind of forgot about this. And there's it looks like a sort of blue handprint thing on the. I'm not even sure exactly what's happening. It's like it burns the shape of his hand into the ground almost.
yeah, I put that as he was just pushing down really hard, and it laid down the grass because he wasn't paying attention.
See, I don't think
You
it
know-
is that because his narration.
Yeah, it says that he's surprised that something just happened, and that it references Rebirth. It says that Mr. Oz said that we were not what we thought we
Right.
were.
And it says now this. Like, this is weird. I think it is actually glowing blue.
Yeah, it's the next tease of the mystery, I guess.
Nice.
So that's worth. But you can sort of see him in the last panel opening his shirt. He's saying how he's had the black suit. He's put that away.
Yep.
And then
he's retired it.
And then the page that we all fucking loved is there's just 2-page spread of just the jacket ripping open to reveal the S
Yep.
with the single caption box saying the colours will fly. It's just
Page
like,
of the week.
Yes, yes.
Yep.
And then we get another 2-page spread, which is the title page of the comic, which I might
More
argue
fantastic.
it is more fantastic. I'd almost argue that wasting a 2-page spread in this would normally bother me, but it's like nah. It's the start of the book.
Well, especially when they're back to back like that. But
yeah,
then you get to see Gleason just work his craft
yeah.
It
Here.
just kills it, doesn't he?
with the layouts and just how everything leads into another. Like, oh man.
I also
So
really
good.
love the muted colors as well. Like, it's kind of they
Well-
pop out, but they're just a little bit subdued. Even the bright
So
ones.
like Gleason, I first came to him reading Green Lantern Corps, where he was drawing all these weird looking aliens, and he almost had like a grotesque style that I thought was fitted more to shadows. And then you see him here, and it kind of reminded me of Tim Sale's from For All Seasons.
Yeah, I get it. Especially this one on this page here where he's holding up the
Yeah.
train.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
It's a very classic looking Superman. He's kind of blocky, but in that old style way. And like you said, the muted colors, all just
Yeah.
It all just plays in.
So I mean, I think the first like 4 or 5. Well, it's actually more than that because it's like several double page spreads. But like this first little chunk just got me so like enthused. It was like, yes, right, fucking Superman, we're in. And then the story shifts to narration from John, and it's from his perspective, which I've got a feeling a lot of this first arc will be because of what it's about.
Yeah.
And we have to talk about Goldie.
Poor Goldie. I couldn't believe they did that.
That literally had me in shock. I was reading this on the bus. I was like, fuck. What did they just do?
People who follow, I mean, if you've watched any of other stuff or listened to any of other shows, you know that I have cats. I have 3 cats. I'm a cat person, and
They'll probably pop up in this at some point.
possibly they're all asleep right now. But poor Goldie. I mean, I thought he was going to save the day. I thought he was going to, I thought John was going to come in, take care of the stupid bird that was going to attack the cat, and then
It's one of those times where the page turn really works because it's the page ends before with just the glint of it coming from his eye. And you think he's going to do it, and then you turn the page, and you just get that massive explosive thing. I can't even describe it.
This is like the first few pages like got me enthused, and then this section dragged me down, but not in a bad way. It was more like oh man, this is heavy. Like this is going to.
He's learning how to be Superman's son, right? Not just the title, but there's these new powers that he has no idea how to control.
Yeah, it's not going to shy away from the heavy stuff in this series.
Exactly.
You can tell already.
And that's also where we're first introduced. First of all, John crying about what he's just done. It's heartbreaking, but we also get the first look at this neighbour, this girl about his age, who right now I'm just going to say is going to be his Lana. I'm just going to call it right now.
Yeah.
Which I'm cool with. Is she holding a skateboard? I can't remember. I think she was.
Along those lines. Yeah. She popped over. She's from the farm next door.
She's like a scared kid. But, so, I mean, so John comes back, and I know she wasn't holding, she was holding the milk
bag.
Yeah, it was a bag of something.
Yeah, it was the way she was standing. It reminded me of someone, like just a skater kid holding a skateboard.
Do you know what the thing about that page is that gets me? It's not. I'm not sure whether he's more torn up about Goldie or the fact that he broke his promise. Like that obviously means a lot to him because that's what he goes straight to.
Yeah.
I think that just is. It shows that he is son of Superman. Like it's inbuilt into him almost.
I feel like I don't know. I want vengeance for the cat.
Yeah, well, I mean he's owning up responsibility for what he did.
I think it's time to get some kryptonite blades and go to town on this little shit.
Jesus.
He didn't do it on purpose, Pete. Jeez.
He tried to save the cat.
Yeah.
I'm gonna grab his neck like Bat Tank style and be like, "Do you bleed? You will." I apologise for referencing that piece of shit, by the way.
As you should.
Yeah, that has no place on this podcast.
But so what's her face here? What's her name? Is it Wendy? It's not Wendy, is it?
No, I'm looking.
God.
Kathy.
Kathy, there you go. So Kathy comes over and she's seen this, and I think this will be an interesting relationship that's going to blossom from this because she's seen what he can do. So she'll be the one that he can confide in, even more than his parents maybe, where if he's too scared to tell them something, he'll tell her.
Yeah,
right.
Because obviously he doesn't tell them about Goldie.
Yeah, at least not yet. I mean...
Well, no, but they actively, like Lois actually asks, has anyone seen Goldie? And he says no.
Yeah, and your stomach just churns a little bit for him. It's like, oh... Yeah.
Especially as it follows immediately by her showing up, and we know that she knows what happened.
Yeah. I love how she's just kind of looking at him the whole time with these big eyes, just like, eek.
Don't say nothing. Don't provoke.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then we get to see Superman and Lois be stern parents when John throws a little bit of an attitude fit.
Which he's like, what, 11, 12?
Yeah, I think he's about 12, yeah.
Yeah,
that makes sense.
That's about normal. Yeah. Being a preteen boy.
Yeah. But I don't know, I thought it was interesting, don't use me as an excuse to be a bunch of liars. I think that's a really interesting. It's an interesting theme to poke at. that he feels like he's the excuse, which is, we know is ridiculous because he was hiding who he was for decades.
Yeah, but I mean, they're not the average DCU. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They're from a different. I don't know if it's a timeline or what it is anymore, but they're not like the rest.
There's more to it. But then another, this is the thing. Like, so we open with the really exciting stuff. Then we have the scene with the cat, and then it gives me this other great scene which just drew me in, and it's this idea that from his bedroom he sees like Wonder Woman and Batman show up to talk to Superman. And this is obviously going to tie into, at least this meeting will tie into the first Justice League arc, because this is them showing up and being like, who the hell are you now that you're here?
And they look scary as hell.
Yeah.
Because the way that the shadows hit them, they're so intimidating.
No, absolutely.
Don't forget the fact that Wonder Woman has her sword out. You know, that's always immediately more intimidating.
Oh, exactly. But it was all from his point of view, which is, again, them being scary. Him using his super hearing, which I imagine is just kicking in to try and we get like little fragments of the conversation. And that's how we see where this fits in. This will fit in between Action Comics' first arc and Justice League's first arc, with them being like, right, you're here, who are you, explain yourself, as they would. You know? But then Wonder Woman and Batman catch him watching or listening.
Yep.
And I don't think I've ever sympathised with oh shit, let me hide under the bed moment than I have with Batman catching you eavesdropping on him.
Yep.
I love how Batman's like, he's listening. Like, he knows. He knows. He's got the super hearing. He's like, nope, not having this.
Yeah, and then, again, sticking with the dark, Daddy Superman shows up, and, you know, this is how the book ends. It's him, like, coming out of the shadows and be like, you're coming with me now. And obviously that's going to... And I'm wondering what he's going to show him or take him in the next issue. But that entire last section, it was just this weird feeling of being, like, from a kid's perspective, where, like, other members of the Justice League are showing up outside your house.
Mm-hmm.
It kind of makes you feel the added vulnerability, which is weird considering his powers, but, like, his mindset. And you really, because it's all from his perspective, you get inside that really well. I think it helps that the art is all those angles. It's all drawn from like that, looking down at them.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And then even when Superman comes in at the end, it's like a low angle looking up at him, as if like you're on the floor looking up at Superman.
Yeah, it's like he is above you. He is intimidating, even though he is Superman.
Yeah.
It's actually really impressive that, given the fact that this kid is, you know, if he's not completely indestructible yet, he is getting there. He's getting all these powers, and they've still found a way to make him vulnerable and make him fear for him. Not because we think they're going to hurt him, but because as a kid you fear your parents, you fear being told off for something you're not meant to do.
He got caught listening when he wasn't supposed to.
Yeah.
You know? But yeah, and then just the way that the shadows hit that Superman image is just looks so great.
It is. It is Gleason doing it with those dark shadows like you told me earlier. It's fantastic.
Yeah, great. So that's Superman. And that'll take us on to Green Lanterns issue 1 by Sam Humphries on writing duties, and Robson Rocha on the art. So this was, I think, definitely our weakest out of the... 2 weeks ago when we talked about all the Rebirth issue 1s, it was the same, like, 4 books. We said this was the weakest. And I still kind of feel that after reading this.
Yep, not to tip my hand too much, I agree.
Yeah. And it did a lot of the same things that worried me. It started off with some space opera stuff that I'm really not that interested in. I like the same things that I liked before. I like Jessica Cruz, I like Simon Baz being the buddy cops. But one thing that was really abundant to me after finishing this book was I really don't want the Red Lanterns to be the villains for this first arc. I kind of want to be away from all that for a while.
Yeah, I almost had hope on that first page where it's going through the emotional spectrum and stuff, and Jessica, I think it's Jessica's narration where it is, and she's basically like, I don't care, I just want to focus on my duty here on Earth.
Yeah.
It's like, that's what I want that.
Yeah, and them being called out to a crime scene is cool. I like that.
And I like to jump too forward in the story, it is a typical cop story, even though they're space cops. Because you have a federal agency come in and say, this is our crime scene.
Yeah, this is not your jurisdiction.
Yeah. And I was just like, okay, Humphries, that was cool. Like, as long as he keeps it like that, I don't mind the Red Lantern stuff as long as this is just a bridge to get to what's new.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to care about the Red Lantern side of the story, though, for me.
And we'll get there when we get to the end of the story, but there's more going on with them.
Yeah.
The fact that they managed to infect people without rings, that's weird.
Yeah, obviously that's the main plot strand here, is that they're infecting people, and that's what the crime scene they go to, is that there's this guy who's been infected, and he's doing whatever, and he's endangering people, and we have this...
I will say I really
thing.
like his Red Lantern's logo painted on him what looks like blood on his shirt.
I almost wished, like... Here's my problem with the Red Lanterns, actually. I don't actually mind this plot of, like, them infecting people, but I feel like the Red Lanterns themselves, Atrocitus and, Co...
Please.
I feel like we shouldn't cut to them and have, like, conversations between them. I feel like they should be left in the background as, like, the mysterious people orchestrating this, and we should just see the effects of people becoming, like, rage-fueled and, like Connor said, painting the logo on their shirts and stuff, and, like, the idea of this Red Lantern, like, almost cult kind of thing happening because it's infecting people. If it was just that and it focused on that and the effects of that, and saved Atrocitus and that for, like, issue 4, issue 5, when the arc's, like, ramping up towards the conclusion, when you reveal your big like, it was just when it cut to, like, a couple of pages of, like, Atrocitus, like, talking to
monologuing,
Gleason, monologue. I'm just like, I don't really care about this.
Less is always more with Atrocitus, because they turned him into Space Punisher. Where you were sympathizing with him for what he's been through, and kind of you just want him to burn stuff down.
I think it's really hard with the Red Lanterns as well, because only Atrocitus and I think Bleeze can really talk, right? Yeah. Most of them are just rage screams. Right. And that makes it hard to care about them as a whole, because he has to carry everything conversationally. And that
I do love Dexter though, going back to my cat thing.
Of course you do.
But that's...
But I just thought of something. I want Damien to adopt Dexter.
He can try.
Bat Cow. He doesn't need any more pets. He's got Titus and Bat Cow.
Yeah, but if there's one hero that can tame the angry cat, it's Damien. They're suited for each other.
I don't know. I see him throwing the cat, because it scratched him, and he's like, okay, enough of you.
I'll be honest, I'm a little disappointed we never got that when Kara was a Red Lantern. We never got her bonding with Dexter.
Oh, yeah, that'd have been nice.
I totally forgot that was a thing.
Yeah,
when that got involved.
Yeah, I mean, the stuff I like I said, the stuff I liked was the two characters and their banter together. And then, I liked them building the supporting cast. I liked Jessica with her sister in the supermarket.
Yep.
But...
Simon with his
family,
including his liaison, who is officially part of the family, as he's having dinner with them.
So what, the thing with this, go on,
Connor.
So the thing with this book is, I care about these characters, and I want to see more of them, but I don't care about any of the story, and I don't know how long that's enough to sustain it.
Yeah, I can definitely see us finishing the first arc and seeing what maybe the second arc's going to have for us. Because the good thing about the double shipping is we'll get there fairly quickly.
Yeah.
So we can see how it pans out. But, I mean, I didn't, like I say, I did still mostly enjoy reading it. It is easily the one that I was least interested or excited about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because
what I was going to mention is we got a new Lantern Power, which, with the Emerald Sight, which is a little... nice little introduction here.
Yeah, I like how the ring actually announced it as well. It's like, Simon Baz, you have the ability to experience Emerald Sight.
So yeah, I'm open to it for a little more. I mean, he seated Bleeze in there pretty well when they were talking to the guy with the blood painting on his shirt. He said the blue skin girl said that I'd have a ring.
It did take me a minute, though. At first, I thought he was talking about, like, some sort of guardian.
Yeah. So did I for a second, then I remembered who we were dealing with.
Yeah.
I think I thought it was a guardian until we seen Bleeze, and I was like, oh, it'll be her. Never mind. So I don't have much more to add to Green Lanterns.
I'll say I really like the ba-bum heartbeat just kind of underneath on the page. My only problem is that it alternates pages after a while. I think I'd have preferred it just in the background on every page. Like, just a bit smaller, it would have had more of an effect if it was continuous.
Yeah. Also, Hell Tower, not the most subtle name, Humphries.
Yeah, it's a Red Lanterns. What are you going to do?
The Hell Tower of Anger and Rage.
Yeah, like, that's what it was. So, but yeah,
All right,
I do
okay.
like that the next issue is called Mall Cops, though, but
Yeah.
Maul.
yeah.
Oh, well, yeah, that's kind of amusing. I do enjoy a good pun. Alright, so I guess that takes us on. Sticking with the colour green, though, going over to Green Arrow issue 1 by Ben Percy and Otto Schmidt on the art. We said this when we read Rebirth issue 1, but Rebirth issue 1 for this was just issue 1 of the story. Because this was issue 2. It's issue 1,
Yep.
but this was the second part of the story, so worth noting that. Now, I will say, this is going to sound like a negative point, and it is, but it isn't really. This is the only issue 1 that I didn't think was better than its Rebirth issue. But it wasn't because it was bad, it was just because...
I think it was on par with the Rebirth issue.
Yeah.
It pretty much was, but I think if I was picking between them, I'd pick the Rebirth issue. But it's just because they already had issue 1 of the story, so...
Yeah,
Yeah,
and it was
it's
such a
issue
high
2.
quality.
Yeah. Because it opens right where we left off, really. I mean, Green Arrow and Black Canary show up at the shipping yard to...
I'm glad the editor's note is in that first panel to go read Rebirth.
Yeah. Yep.
Just in case someone is just
Yep.
joining in comics and didn't realise. It's like, you need to know this.
Yeah. I think that's one where they shouldn't have had a Rebirth issue, so I just called that issue 1, because it was.
Yeah.
But regardless of that, so we get a fun action sequence. What's Green Arrow's buddy's name, who is on the comms? Not Felicity.
Henry.
Fife.
Yeah.
Henry
Fife.
Henry Fife. There you go. So we get Black Canary. We also get Emmy, which is not Thea.
Yep.
Yeah.
Helping out in the fight. And like I said this last time, but I still really like the designs of these underground men with their hands and the goggles and all that.
I really love them in those colours. Like those like dark purples, fogs and stuff, and those orange eyes just really stand out.
Yeah. No, I
They're
agree.
otherworldly.
Well, we
Yeah.
said this last time, how they kept putting like oranges in the background so the green would really pop out.
Pop.
Yeah.
And it's the same kind of thing here. They've just got like they've really did some nice things with the colours to make sure that the things that they want to stand out are really popping off the page. Also, more Black Canary using her actual power with like and we see the rings of the sound waves coming out. It's always
Yeah, I liked what Emmy said too. Is that she feels it before she hears it.
yeah.
Yeah.
Like it's a thing that she's familiar with, which is kind of cool.
And you can almost you can relate to that as well if you've ever had like a 5.1 sound system. You've got the subwoofer going off. Like you can feel that more than you can hear it. Like,
Yeah, if you've ever been to like a live gig,
Yeah.
you feel the drums hit you in your chest. You don't hear them as much.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, and the one key point here about two key points about the plot here is that Ollie notices that it's a Queen Industries container.
Yeah.
These guys were using. So that's relevant for plot in a couple of minutes, and also Canary is not amused that all these flat out paying dirty cops to give him information.
Yeah.
So
She's like, all the people you have relationships with, you pay. He's like, no, I don't. Okay, yes, I do.
Yeah, all but like one.
she should have brought that
Which
up.
is his sister.
She should have brought up that when they were in bed, and because I had a correct joke like, "What you want paid?
Do you want me to pay? Yeah,
Do you want money? Is that what you want?"
Yeah.
But yeah, that's what we cut to. We cut to them in bed. They wasted no time with this.
This is my one slight with Percy, and this has kind of happened throughout his entire run of Green Arrow. He moves things along very fast, and sometimes I feel like I am missing panels or pages. Because, like, I just turn to that page, and boom, they're in bed. It's like, okay, I get it, but I feel like it's abrupt. It's like a jump cut.
It is a jump cut, but that's because you have the page turn, and it is after where Emmy just says, "Well, you two just get a room."
Yeah.
So it
But-
kind of works as a jump cut.
It does work,
Yeah.
and that makes it work in terms of a jump cut. But at the same time, when she said that, when I was turning the page, I didn't think that I was getting to them already being in bed. I was thinking, oh, that's seeding the fact that they're starting to fall for each
Yeah.
other. And
Exactly.
and she can see it. But then, oh, right, okay, they're already at it. Fair enough.
But he's done this the entire. This is not new to
Yeah.
Rebirth. From the werewolf story. I mean, he was a werewolf within 3 pages. Like,
Something like that, yeah.
So, and then this guy that he goes talks to, I want to say that we've seen him before Rebirth. His CFO.
Possibly.
Maybe.
Yeah, or at least he's been mentioned. But yeah, the name was familiar enough. So
It is worth mentioning though before we get to that the all the stuff within in the kitchen with Dinah and Emmy like bonding and uh, I think if you've never read Green Arrow before, that this at least sets you up for the end of the book where you're still going to feel bad about the twist at the end.
And that's a little bit of my problem with this issue,
Yeah.
actually. It's in this first half. I feel it's a bit clunky and over the top of making you aware of who Emmy is. I mean, I know they have to, but I feel like it's done in a really clunky way. That banter they have while they're fighting just feels...
Yeah. No, it
fearless to
is. It definitely is, and it's one of the things though where I'm kind of glad they did though to an extent because I barely remembered who she was.
There does need to be something, I agree, but I feel like the way they did it, it could have been done better.
I mean, it could have been. But at the very least, the dialogue bouncing off each other is actually quite enjoyable for the most part.
yeah.
But you know this leads to Canary raiding Oliver for not that way. Get that out of your heads. Raiding Oliver for all this paying out money to people, and is there anyone? You know, we talk about that. Is there anyone in your life not being paid to be there for you?
I had a friend once. That was the line.
Yeah, it's like, he used to be my friend.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do have to admit, it's a little bit strange for me how Dinah says, like, after Ollie implies they have some sort of relationship, she's like, I think we both need time to figure things out. I'm like,
Yeah.
are we at this point? like, I didn't even know they were sleeping together like 3 pages ago.
I think that's just meant to show, like, yeah, they slept together and it was quick, and it's like, hang on, let's maybe figure it out before it gets messy.
Yeah, I get it. I think it comes from the previous thing being so quick that this also feels kind of...
Yeah. And see, that's what I mean. It always feels like you're missing pages or panels because he's moving him along at such a speed.
And this is why I like the Rebirth issue more, I think. It felt tighter overall in terms of everything moving forward and
Yeah, that's fair enough.
going between each other. So he goes to meet the guy running his company for him, and maybe it was just me, but it was screaming secretly the villain on the page the entire time. It may have been big flashing red text. You know, This guy is evil. He's a bad guy. Don't trust him, Ollie. Don't be a tit.
Yeah. I think all his staff are weird. You know, the page before, it's like, I don't know what she is. She's like a secretary or whatever.
Yeah.
And she just like, am I allowed to tweet about you being here? And say, oh, you smell really good. Kind of sawdusty and leathery and horsey. It's like, you speak to your boss like that?
Well, I took that as he's more of a celebrity than a boss because he's never there. Like, his name's on the building, but he doesn't.
Doesn't matter.
So-
When your boss walks in, you're going to do that, really. I mean, even if he is a celebrity, just you're still in his office.
I'm going to try out my next job interview. I'm just going to be like, by the way, you smell really nice. Just casually.
Hey Pete, that's the secret why you haven't gotten a job yet. You haven't noticed how they smell.
You have to be specific. It's the only way it works.
Yeah, I was like sawdust and lavender. Yes, that's how you smell.
It's a strange combination.
That's how you get a stew going. But aye, so he talks to Boss Man about company stuff and why are these containers being used and whatever. And then we see the evil Boss Man make a phone call after he leaves, and I actually really like that page actually because the rain and the thunder hitting as Ollie goes away on his motorbike.
I do love again
Also-
it's like that color contrast. It goes from these bright warm oranges to these like cold blues and greys.
Yeah. So Ollie goes home. He's attacked by an unseen intruder, which turns out to be Shadow. Mario does a better impression of it, but that's all I can think when Shadow pops up now is Mario's impression of Deathstroke screaming Shadow from the TV show. But Shadow shows up and tries to kill him. Meanwhile, we see some of these overseers. Like one of them is the guy from the first issue who's like running this like smuggling ring. But there's a bunch of other people with different types of mask. One of them, I believe, is Court of Owls.
Was it?
I could be wrong. Someone said there was. I didn't see him. I'm looking now.
I'm having a look.
Yeah. I didn't.
I think
That would've
this
stuck
bottom
out.
right one is meant to be caught. Maybe.
They feel very Court of Owls anyway. I think.
Also, nothing says Green Arrow villain like a mask shaped like an arrowhead.
It's true. It's very true.
That is true. That is true. Oh, it makes sense if one of these guys was Court of Owls and it was like a network of all these different.
Oh crap! It's a Talon
Yeah.
Yeah.
at the end of the table, next to the shadowy face guy.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah,
there you
top
go.
left, yeah.
Yeah, there you go. Exactly.
Crap! I didn't even notice that. Just because I was so taken aback by the rest of the weird looking masks.
And the over the topness of them all having this meeting
Yeah.
at a table together.
Yeah, and for anyone who's new to comics, Talon are an agent of the Court of Owls, who are a big thing
Yeah.
at the start of Batman at New 52. So just for context. But of course they tease that Emmy's going to help Ollie. Ollie's like, get out of here, but then, oh no! Heel turn. Emmy
Yep.
helps
Big
Shadow,
time.
her mother.
God
Although
damn it,
I-
Percy.
So I have the feeling it's going to be one of those heel turns. It's not really a heel turn. It's a heel turn to facilitate the story. You know what I mean?
So you think she's going to end up being good in the long run?
Yeah, of course.
See,
Like-
you say that, but the whole story was meant to be from the premise I got when he pitched it was he's kind of making him get rid of everything, like the way Black Canary's been challenging him about his money. He's essentially gonna go down to that level. So getting rid of his allies and making it just him.
See, but then again, it's so over the top about their relationship and her, like, what? So she just flips the switch and that's it? Like,
Yeah, it is. It is very last page twist-esque. So like
Yeah.
that never
Yeah.
sits sort of thing.
because the entire run to this point that Percy's done, him and, he's built the relationship with Emmy and the wolf dog,
Oh, by the way,
So-
there's actually going to be an amendment when this gets collected. They're going to change
Yeah.
the dialogue in this last page because currently it says, "Where have you been, Mother? I've been waiting such a long time." It's going to change to, "Where have you been, Mother? Hail Hydra."
Yeah. It's basically what it was. So we'll see.
It was that
And it's-
moment essentially.
So, I don't buy it fully, and we'll see. Plus, she was so enamored with Black Canary, not just because she was like the pop star, but I see her that's a positive role model. So there'll be a struggle between Black Canary and Shadow for Emmy's fate.
That should be fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, that could be good. So, I mean, I enjoyed the issue, but I did think we brought up some problems, some clunkiness. But, I mean, no, art was gorgeous again, though, which really helps see you through any of those story issues.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a bit of clunky dialogue. Oh well, I'll just stare at this lovely art for a minute.
Yeah.
Yep.
Alright, so I think that'll take us on then. We're going to... Now, it would make sense to go to Titans Rebirth, but we're going to save that for after Justice League 51, because Justice League 51 is kind of set before it, and it is kind of related. So, Justice League 51, which is written by Dan Abnett, which is a sign that it's related to Titans, and art by Paul Pelletier, and we get what is basically a flashback story to the time when Dick Grayson as Robin first met the rest of the Justice League.
Yeah. Again, that hokey 5-year math rears its ugly head again.
Yeah, but we know we're going to be fixing all this, so that's...
Yes. That's the one thing that I'm glad that we don't have to do, because he jumps in age, like,
Yeah.
you know.
We know we're going to be fine. They're going to sort this all out. So we got a couple of pages just saying blah blah blah. They beat Darkseid back at the start of the New 52, and then 6 months later, Batman brings Dick Grayson as Robin to meet the team. And while this issue does have a couple of like over the top sort of like there's so much fighting in the middle where this thing is going on, which I get tired of sometimes because it just feels like there's just pages and pages of lots of things.
It's filler.
But there's a lot of nice moments where Dick Grayson bonds with various members of the League. I like Wonder Woman taking his Robin Batarang thing and using it, and like bonding with Cyborg. Although I have to admit, Cyborg saying that he earned his keep, I rolled my eyes. I was like, no, you're not truly one of them yet. No one looks at you like a proper member of the Justice League yet, Cyborg.
Yeah.
Right?
I don't.
No one does. Jeff Johns is trying his hardest to make us all care about Cyborg to that extent, and none of us do.
Yeah.
Maybe one day.
Maybe one day, maybe they'll do it.
And that's what made me too, is I didn't think this was supposed to be Dick Grayson, because until they outright said it, because he didn't act like Dick Grayson, as Robin.
No, I thought
It felt off.
Did they
It
not
was,
say
a bit
right
too,
at
it was a bit unsure of himself, wasn't
Did
it?
they not say right at the start it was Dick? I'm sure I
No.
knew from the get-go it was Dick.
I figured it out pretty quickly because it
Yeah.
was like, well, it was 6 months later. It's like, well, it's clearly not Jason.
Oh well,
Right.
I think
And
maybe it's just 'cause it was connected to Titans. I'm like, well, it has to be Dick.
Well,
Makes
yeah, and
sense.
it finally pulled it, but I just so it's like with him throwing the Robin R's, it felt like an amalgam of the Robins, kind of like what was the problem with them in the beginning of the New 52.
I didn't have that problem too much, to be honest. It just kind of
No.
it felt like he was starstruck more than anything from everyone around
yeah,
him,
Yeah,
and he was sort of dealing with that issue. And I like that he's the one who comes up with the idea to realize exactly what's going on. Like he's the one who
yeah,
uses his
that was
brain.
cool.
Um, what was I going to say about Cyborg? Because someone else said something else. I was about to say something. Oh yeah, I think before Cyborg can be more than he is, I think he needs a redesign. I think his design for how he looks is far too clunky and goofy looking.
Well, that was the pre Forever Evil. Like he's been streamlined since. Remember?
Yeah, I still think even now.
Oh,
I think
I like his
he needs a
I like his
sleeker
nose
look.
design.
I just think standing next to the rest of the Justice League, he just doesn't look like he's one of the superheroes. He looks like he's
see,
this
I get
weird.
it though, because that's kind of his whole shtick, isn't it? That he's not quite either one thing or the other.
Right.
So having that straight up
Not
in his
man, not
design
machine.
works. Yeah.
And so, and I prefer the Forever Evil slim down, like
Hmm.
where they fine tuned everything.
Yeah, it's
Well,
So,
I guess I
and
just
this is
disagree
a
on that.
throwback to the his first super clunky, you know, boxy robotic. He looks
yeah.
like the power loader from Aliens.
A little bit, a little bit.
Hmm.
Uh, but yeah, so for me, like I say, I think the middle of this issue is a lot of like sort of filler fighting that I didn't really care about. But I did like the Dick Grayson moments, and the last page and the ending is where it all makes it worth it, and everything just suddenly feels better.
Hmm.
It is amazing, isn't it? That last page.
Because Justice League all congratulate him, saying nice to meet you, blah blah blah. But then all comes down to Dick and Batman talking to each other, and you need to get ready to work with the league because you get used to it. And Dick asks the question. He's saying that one day I'm going to be a member of the Justice League, and the book ends with Batman saying you're going to lead it,
Yeah.
and I'm like fuck yeah.
Yeah. It's great, and it's a great issue. And there's some weird stuff that it's weird because it's set in the early days of the New 52,
Yeah.
but it highlights the problems with it because they have banter in this. Like
Yeah.
when Batman shows up with Robin, and Hal and Barry are laughing about him having a sidekick, and
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
if it,
He's got a sidekick.
the dialogue feels like it's regular DC.
yeah,
Right.
and but it's set.
The designs, yeah.
Yeah, it's weird.
Also, Abnett showing his favoritism of Aquaman. When Cyborg's like, yeah, you don't want to mess with Aquaman. It's pretty brutal,
Yeah,
which I liked. But yeah, overall, the issue, I didn't. It was fine. It felt disposable.
It
You
kind
know.
of is. I think if you're a fan of Dick Grayson, I think it's worth a read.
Oh yeah, it's worth a read, but at the same time, like, had I not read Titans Hunt, it wouldn't have meant as much because there's hints in there about someone trying to break through, and that's where these incursions came from. They're from different points of space time,
Yeah, we
and
should
you have
mention there's a narrator for this that we don't get to see who it is.
yeah, and you have a one of the Kaluans, right? Brainiac Five's people, who's there to investigate it.
Yeah.
You have those weird wolf creatures. I can't remember their names.
oh, I do. They were Schrodinger's dogs. Weren't
Schrodinger's.
they? I remember because I laughed.
Yeah.
That's music.
And then Mammoth from Legion of Superheroes, because they hint that he's from Earth, just not from this time.
Yeah.
So, and they all, just kind of, they don't play much of a role. They're just kind of there for the Justice League to hit things.
Yeah, I mean, like I say, I don't think it was like an amazing issue, but I think if you're a fan of Dick Grayson, I think those moments and then that ending
It just
is-
makes it worth it, doesn't it?
it just makes it worth it. Like I said with Batman issue 1, whenever Batman like gives that much respect to Dick, it's
Yeah.
just
Also,
Because Pete loves Dick.
I do love Dick.
Yes, he does.
Connor
this
loves
is
Dick.
this is the first time I've ever noticed that if you put silhouette sideways of Barry, the flash, the prongs make it look like Jay's helmet, like his silhouette. I'd never noticed before, and then it's like, oh yeah, it's so obvious.
You ever wondered why they were on the costume?
No,
Just to
no,
look
I got
cool?
there. I got they were there, but I'd never clocked the silhouette makes it look like the helmet. Like
Yeah.
it's just one of those weird things.
All right.
Yeah,
Okay. All right. So
You can
that's
have Ginger.
so. As for the narrator, who's clearly sinister in some capacity, I'm sure we'll maybe get that'll be the thing that ties into Titans at some point. I'm sure we'll see who
Yep.
that is, but I don't think we have really any guesses at this point, do we?
no.
Nah. I
He looks
don't.
tired. He looks like the silhouette we see of him. That quick little hint. He looks slumped over. He's about had it.
Yeah.
Right, well, that'll take us on to the final book of the week, which is Titans Rebirth. And much like The Flash kind of felt like it tied heavily into Rebirth itself, this one feels like the next part of that, because it's Wally, of course, and Wally coming back to the his team of the Titans. And so we start with a little bit of history. Wally sort of gives a little bit of some memories and him taking a photo with the rest of the gang, but him being fast enough to press the button on the camera and speed in
And
for the
still,
photo.
yeah.
Yeah.
Also, don't forget the creative team on this one was
Oh, sorry.
Abnett.
I didn't mention this. And Brett Booth on art. Yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
And speaking of that, actually, since I'm looking at this page where they take the photo,
Yeah.
Brett Booth isn't great. I don't think he's terrible, but there was one thing that I really dislike in this. I think
His long equine-like faces.
it's the faces, but also there's something about the body on Lilith that
Yeah.
just looks
Yeah.
weird. It's like, she looks like a bulky man. Look at it. It looks like pecs and like muscles and like it just doesn't look like a woman. It's weird.
It is strange.
But that said, though, I don't think it's like I don't think it's unpleasant overall to look at. Like some people,
It's not
really,
enough to detract me from
Yeah.
the book.
It's not enough to take it away.
Well,
'Cause-
no, and that's always with Booth. His art's not my thing, but it's never made me be like, well, I'm not reading this anymore.
Yeah, yeah.
I think he's better when it's the stuff in motion, like the panels of Nightwing leaping forward. I think they look
Yep.
good.
God, his Nightwing, that's his strongest art, in my opinion, was Nightwing.
Yeah.
I agree.
And speaking of Nightwing, so Wally goes to Nightwing first. He goes to Dick's apartment, and by the way, calling on this best friendship that Wally and Dick had is the easy way to get me into this right from the get go.
Classic. That is classic DC.
Yeah, that's like them being best
'Cause-
friends, and
Yeah, because even when Wally was Flash and Dick's running around as Nightwing, and he's not really on the A team, Dick, because he does his own thing. It was always cool to see Flash coming down and hanging out with his childhood friend.
yeah. And we'll get to something later, but obviously we have to get to the main plot here. So Nightwing's like, who the hell are you? Blah, 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 blah. He can't remember me, blah, blah, blah. The things you expect to happen right away. But when he touches him, there's a spark.
Yeah.
Which I guess I'm just going to say, Speed Force, bro, I ain't got to explain shit. But that triggers Nightwing's memories.
I was say,
Yep.
how many times are we going to say that phrase between Flash and this?
Probably a lot. Well, I've said it once.
It happens 6 more times.
It does,
in
but
this
we don't,
issue.
we don't have to say it 6 more times,
Yes.
though. We've said it once. We can just...
I just mean in the series going forward. How many times are we going to have to say that?
Just after they establish Wally, because this whole first arc is the return of Wally West.
Yeah.
So I'm sure the Speed Force is the key
Yeah.
to uncovering the Mr. Twister thing from Titan's Hunt.
Yeah. Yeah. So, Dick remembers who he is, and he's like, I know your name, but I don't know how. Right, so he's obviously still foggy, but he remembers enough to stop fighting. And then we get the big double page spread where the rest of the Titans show up because Dick, they all think Dick's been attacked.
Yeah.
See, this is where his art stands out a bit for me. It's Wally's body. It looks really stretched out and disproportionate.
Yeah. Actually, also, I love the... it's not in the second, maybe before here, but he has a caption where he says, maybe wearing a new outfit right away wasn't the best idea.
Yeah. That was a good one.
Yeah, it was good.
Yeah, that was quite good. So then he has a bit of a fight and with everyone as they're all trying to catch him and he's like dodging them. But what this really serves a purpose of though is to get a lot of nice little flashbacks as they all touch him one by one. And it also him like his relationships because as they all attack him one by one, he's like, "Oh, this is classic Arsenal. This is how he fights." And like, if this is the first Teen Titans book you've ever read and you don't know these characters,
It's a
I
nice
feel like
intro.
it does a good job of introducing who they all are and what their sort of personalities all are.
It distills all of them down to one core element. Like
Yeah.
Yeah.
Donna protects, Roy is determined, Lilith hunts for the truth, you know, like it immediately tells you what they stand for, like you can do with the Justice League.
Yeah, absolutely. But as they touch them and they get their memories back, we get like a flashback with each one. We didn't get this with Nightwing. We get it with Nightwing later, which I do want to definitely talk about. But you know, they're like him and Rory, like what was it they're doing? Just chatting and like having a beer. When they're meant to be like what, teenagers at this point, so you know.
Yeah. Classic teenagers then, basically.
Wait, did I call him Rory? Roy. I meant Roy.
Yeah, I was gonna correct you as soon as you were done talking.
Yeah, no, well, I realised I'd done it, Matt. It's fine. It's similar
I
name.
got you. Also, leave it to the addict to be the one that steals the beer.
Yeah, of course.
True.
Yeah.
He's the bad influence.
Yeah, and of course Donna, we get the flashback to like Donna's like, why are we playing a prank? This is stupid. On the mascara, we do not waste time like this. He's like, it's called fun, right? Yeah. You're gonna learn fun. So
and they all show that Wally was like the heart of the Teen Titans.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
So.
And we get a flashback with Lilith and them, you know, sharing a kiss because, I guess
why else are you going to use Lilith?
Well, I guess for a while, you know, before he met Linda, there was a time when he thought that only, you know, gingers could only love other gingers.
I was waiting for the joke. I was like, it's just a case of throwing the gingers together, isn't it?
Hey, but there's two gingers on this team, Connor. You should.
I know. It's amazing. I don't know what I'm gonna do. I've got choice.
Yeah. So that's nice, and it's kind of a sweet moment, and then with Garth, who I guess isn't going by that Aqualad anymore. We're just going to call him Garth.
He's Garth, yeah. He's not Tempest, he's not Aqualad, he's Garth.
Do you know what's funny though? When I hear Garth, all I think of is Wayne's World.
Me too.
All I think of is Garth from Wayne's World. So.
That or country rock superstar Garth Brooks. Oh. No?
I don't know what that is.
Only me?
That's for sure.
All right. Showing my age. Got it.
So everyone remembers, and we finally get the flashback, which I really wanted to mention, which is Dick and Wally going for a ride in the Batmobile, because this is actually a flash to a flashback we got in Jeff Johns' Flash run.
Mm-hmm.
Which is why it felt particularly touching that we got like another part of this, because it was in the issue where Nightwing shows up to see Wally about stuff. It's after, because if you don't know about, I won't spoil too much of it, but there's a bit of memory wipe stuff that goes on in the Flash run with Wally from Jeff Johns, and it's after everyone kind of realises Dick comes to see him to talk about it and stuff like that, and we get this flashback where Dick sneaks Wally into the Batcave, and Wally's like geeking out over all the Batcave stuff.
Yeah.
Because I always remember, like, Dick saying, "Oh, where do you and Flash hang out?" And he's like, "His apartment."
House, yeah.
Yeah. This is really shit, man. I want a huge cave with like advanced technology and shit and malware.
But Barry did have the Flash Museum for a while.
Oh, he did, yeah. Batman doesn't have a museum built after him yet. I'm sure it's coming. But no, it was just really sweet. It was a really nice callback to like a previous thing we'd already seen. Like, I don't know, maybe if people hunt through New Teen Titans and stuff, they'll find these other flashbacks kind of like happened, but like that was the one where I remember this from a previous run on something. Like, so that was really cool.
I also just really like that line. It's like, "Oh, you're allowed to drive it." He's like, "Yeah, if no one finds out."
Batman will find. He's fucking Batman.
It is just classic teenagers though at this point. Like sneaking a beer, doing this. Like, what can we get away with?
Yeah.
It's fun.
I agree, and then we get a nice page of everyone hugging them because they all realise, and I like everyone's costumes now as well. I like that they all have their own distinct costumes of their grown-up versions. Like, I like Donna's black and silver.
Garth's is a little bit garish.
It's
like a little bit too illuminated.
Yeah, maybe. I like everyone else's.
Atlantean.
Yeah, I like all the rest of them.
Also, I didn't notice this the first time. I'm looking at that page now where they're all hugging, and there's like a Superman statue or doll on the shelf in the background. Alpha Dick just has a Superman statue in his house.
Of course he does. Well, it's one of his heroes too.
Idolize him for
I think it's his name.
Exactly, yeah. Nightwing and Flamebird. That's where he got his name, because Nightwing was a superhero in Krypton.
Yep.
Which is probably sort of, if you're new to DC Comics, that's exactly the sort of tidbit you don't know. Is that
that's true?
The name Nightwing comes from a superhero who was on Krypton that Dick learned
Well,
from
that's-
Superman a bit.
Yeah, that's why Dick Grayson is so important to the DCU because him and Wally now are almost the stand-in for us, you know,
Yeah.
because it's generational. They have ties to most of the heroes, you know.
Yeah, Dick has always
So-
been like the heart of the universe, and now he's
Yep.
kind of sharing that with Wally.
Yep.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And then so Wally tries to explain stuff a little bit. Doesn't get too deep into it, but he explains that time is stolen. And the interesting thing here was when he says that 10 years were taken, they suggest Mr. Twister. Like, is it Mr. Twister? And Wally says maybe, like, but he's not sure. And I'm like, and we obviously know it's not. We're like, no, it's someone bigger. But
Yep.
so I like that they're poking at that. Like, we're not getting to answers right away, but they're poking at it. Like, the characters are aware of it, and that's important. I think
Great.
even if we don't answer this for another 2 years, or they don't find out for another 2 years, because they know that something's wrong, it's enough for us to.
The
go
thing
along
is,
with
I
it.
feel now though, after a few weeks, I get the idea of which books are going to be the ones that
Yeah.
head towards that story more than others.
Yeah,
I feel like
Flash
Abnett
and Titans
especially is going to be
and
shifting things.
at some point. I feel like Batman might at some point. Like, obviously there'll be some other arcs, but maybe they'll bring that in at some point. Maybe not,
Yeah.
but it's nice to see them poking at that. And I do actually, as much as we did have some complaints about Booth's artwork, I do kind of like some of his layouts here, with all the overlapping sort of windows
Yeah,
going down to Wally at the bottom of the page. It's really nice. And like, yeah, because they bring up this idea that do you think someone will try and steal Tim again, and realize that I think it is. So they're setting up the idea that this is an ongoing threat that they have to deal with,
yeah.
which is
We're
really
breaking
nice.
through.
Yeah,
I like the idea that it is cyclical. Like every time they got these relationships, 10 years gone, and let's see if it happens differently. And like, I don't know, maybe it didn't happen that way, but it could be interesting.
Now,
Yeah.
the last page is nice. Wally picks up the photo that we've seen them taking at the start, and he says the Titans are going to figure this out together, which is a nice callback to Titans Together. You know, nice little touch.
Yep.
I do have one logistical complaint about this last page, though.
Which is?
Why is this photo here?
Yeah, where'd he get? I thought, did he have it on him when he went into the Speed Force?
But he picks it up at the top of the page. Does he not? He kneels down and picks it up off the floor.
I mean, it's just Speed Force, bro. Don't just like shit.
I guess, but is it because if he's been erased and they've still 10 years, why does this photo exist? Like, that's just my thing. It's a minor complaint, though. Like,
Or maybe that was a picture they had before. Well, no, because then they didn't know each other from Titan Sign.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah. God damn it.
But they did know each other for a while. They were a team, and then they just forgot. So
Yeah, but
maybe
we're-
this happened, and then it got buried in his stuff, and then they forgot each other.
I guess,
I
but
don't
the
know.
photo just happens to be lying at his feet.
It is a
Yeah,
bit convoluted, isn't it?
Yeah.
So him
It's
picking up,
just, it's a good moment. That's why it's there.
it's a good moment, that is, you're right, but it just is a bit, like, it makes no sense. That said, though, as much as some complaints with the art, but not super amount, I did really like this issue. I thought, in terms of, again, hitting all those emotional beats of harkening back to old DC stuff, and also setting up some of this Rebirth stuff going forward, because we know the first arc, which is going to start next month in Titans issue 1. By the way, can I just say I'm pissed this is not double shipping? I actually really want this to be a double.
Yeah, of all the ones that they decide not to.
This is a single. We need to wait a month.
This one annoys me, and Batgirl annoys me.
Well, at least with Batgirl, though, we get Batgirl on the Birds of Prey, so it's kind of
Yeah,
like having
but
a
I don't
double.
want that one as much as I want the regular one. That's the difference.
Okay, but at least with that though, there is 2 Batgirl books, so it's kind of like getting double shipped.
I understand
Yeah.
that, but I don't want it.
At least I can see there's a nice little comfort there. With this one though, it's like, oh come on, we need to wait a month for more of these guys and Wally.
Yeah, I think the only one we can get elsewhere is Dick.
Yeah, we get Double Dick and Nightwing.
Yeah, unless Wally occasionally pops up in
Matt,
Flash.
are you excited about Double Dick?
Not as much as you are.
Damn right you're not. Oh god. So that's Titans Rebirth issue 1. So as we've been doing, we're going to rank them each and pick what our favourite is. So we'll start with what our favourite is and we'll go on. And we're going to leave Connor to last.
Okay.
Because I feel like if there's one person who's going to ruin the first unanimous number 1, it might be him.
I think you disagree.
Yeah.
Nah.
Okay. Well, Well, Matt's not going to be a surprise. Matt, you go first. Give me your rankings.
Yeah. So this is where I would throw a loop and tell you all that I love Titans more, but that'd be a lie. No, clearly it's Superman, Tomasi and Gleason, right?
Yeah.
Okay, I just want to make sure you guys weren't gonna bury me all of a sudden and say Batman. Then I was have to rage walk.
Hey, I'm not confirming what I'm picking. I'm just, I'm just letting you say your list.
Affirming your choice. Yeah.
Yes. So Superman, and then Teen Titans or Titans, not Teen Titans.
It's gonna take some getting used to. You got till September to sort it out.
It'll be fine.
Because then we'll have Teen Titans as well, so we have to differentiate.
Yeah. And then Batman, and then Green Arrow, Green Lanterns, Justice League.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. For me, Superman's at number one as well. I do hate a little bit that my picks so far have been a Superman book, a Batman book, and then a Superman book again. I want to be a bit more diverse, but I can't argue that Superman issue was special. So, Superman at number one. Batman gets selected at number two. I thought that was a great issue of Batman. In fact, I thought Batman would have been my pick until I read Superman, and it was like, all right, okay.
After 5 minutes, you realize that was not going to happen.
So that's that, and then I would go to Titans next.
Yeah, okay.
Titans next, and then see, it's rough. I think I put Justice League before, and I might again, even though I do think Green Arrow is a bit more objectively a better book, but I don't know, the emotions, man. The emotions.
Your list, man. No one's saying nothing.
Okay, I'm going to go with Justice League, and then I'm going to go with Green Arrow, although Green Arrow, of course, is excellent. So, I honestly, those middle three, I think Titans, Justice League, and Green Arrow could probably flip-flop around, depending on my mood. I think the only clear choice here, though, is that Green Lanterns is in the last spot. I don't think anything would change that for me. Again, I still enjoyed parts of it, but, Connor.
Well, I know my first spot and I know my last spot. Everything that's in between is like, I'm going to say it now, but that could change if you ask me again tomorrow. Because I think it'll be different to the one I actually put in the Facebook group when I said it.
Oh, God.
Because I reread them, so I've read all these twice now, and I've shifted around a little bit. But first, you were alright, it's Superman.
Hey!
This is far and away the best book.
Unanimous. We have our first champion of comics from the multiverse is Superman
issue 1. It is fitting that it should be that symbol of hope.
Yeah.
Yes, it is.
Yeah. After that, I'm going to go with Batman. Then Green Arrow. Then Titans. Then Justice League. And then Green Lanterns.
Yeah. It's about right.
Cool. Yeah.
Cool. So I can clearly see what we liked and what we didn't like there. As for next week, it's a bit weird predicting our favourites or our most anticipated for next week, just because there's no new books next week. It's all just continuations of last week's stuff. But still
my wallet will be pleased.
But some are actual number ones, right, rather than a rebirth.
That's true. So, given how the issue ones this week were all improvements over the rebirth issues, it makes me pretty pumped for next week's set of books. Plus, we get obviously. So next week we've got Action Comics and Detective Comics. I can't remember the numbers, but it's the next ones of those. I think that's
triple
good
digits.
Enough.
Triple digits.
I think that's good enough. And then we also have Wonder Woman issue 1, The Flash issue 1, and Aquaman issue 1. And I believe we will also have Justice League 52 if it makes its date. It's still scheduled for that. It's worth noting that Justice League 52 was originally the one when I looked at the solicits. That was the one that said it was a Titans tie-in.
Yeah, because 51 was originally going to be setting up for Green Lanterns.
Yes. So I'm assuming that's 52 now, but
unless 52 is something else entirely.
Yeah, we could get this next week and it'll be like written by. Oh wait, this is a Aquaman tie-in now. What? Like, I don't know.
Written by committee.
Yeah, well, no. If there's one person who's going to pump out all the books, it's going to be Abnett.
That's true.
I think he's done a pretty good job, though. I'm enjoying.
I'm not saying the quality's been taken a decline. I'm just saying he's already pumping. Like he had 2 this week. He had Aquaman last week.
Yeah, next week he's got Aquaman again.
Potentially Justice League 2 for all we know.
And he's also doing the Life and Death Predator or not, Alien and Predator books at Dark Horse right now because I've been reading that.
Lord.
So he's working hard, but he's doing
busy man, yeah.
Fairly good job. He's not writing the best books right now, but he's doing a certain.
He's
solid.
consistent.
Solid, isn't it?
That's what I want in my comics. I don't need everything to be the best ever, unless it's Superman. But which I need.
Bias.
I need after the last 5 years. I need it. But
I think we have.
consistency's key.
It seems like we have solid action comics and special Superman right now, so I think we're in good hands. Although it'll be amazing to me when we get to a week with a Superman, as in Tomasi Superman, and Matt does not pick that as his best book of the week.
Yeah.
I'm
It
looking forward
will
to that
take
week.
something special to make him not choose it.
Do you know what? I can't wait till I hope it's Batman, just because I want to see the squirming in Matt's face. He's like, my pick of the week is.
Hey, I told you I'm honest to a fault. So if I do like Batman more, which up until this is a good death or is this a good death line, Batman, which it was neck and neck.
Yeah, it could have been, yeah.
Yeah.
But that's good. It's good that we can have that fight. We can look at these and go, oh, these were both great, and.
At the end of the day, Batman didn't piss me off like it has been over time.
It's because he was a person.
Yes. Yes.
All right, so I think that neatly wraps up the 4th episode of Comics from the Multiverse. So let's plug some things. Connor, where can people find you?
You can find me on Twitter at ConnorRyan94, and you can find me on the TV podcast, Almost Cancelled, where we talk about many, many, many comic book related shows. Almost too many.
Yeah, all the DC related ones are all off for the summer, but we are doing Outcast and Preacher and stuff just now, and Winona Earp, So if any of those interest you, or you're watching any of those shows, check out what we think as well.
Or go and catch up on our stuff of what we thought about Flash and Arrow, if you care enough about Arrow. But Supergirl, that's pretty good.
Yeah. Flash and Supergirl, generally positive. Arrow, not so much.
It's not. That should be the title on the subtitle on Arrow. Arrow, let's not.
Matt, where can people find you?
You can find me on Twitter at MatterStill57 and on the Mild Fuzz movie podcast 1.21 gigawatts.
Cool.
With Pete.
Yeah, with me. And you can find me on Twitter and other social media places at Wibble89. You can also find me on the horror movie stuff that we do called Screams After Midnight, which again on YouTube, also on the iTunes and the podcatchers and all that jazz. Me and the legendary Tim Vergoolish.
The Professor.
The Professor himself. Who started actually, because if you don't know Tim actually writes and draws his own comic.
Yeah.
Called Goatman, and he's actually started doing little drawings for each episode of Screams representing the movie at the end. So if you watch an episode of Screams After Midnight, it's worth staying to the end, because as the music plays at the end, you see his drawing, and it's like, oh, it's a nice little ending. It's a little treat at the end.
Well, I know what I'm doing now.
Not my music. That's not a nice little treat, is it?
Yeah, but you hear that every week. This is a new drawing every week.
Oh, that is true. New stuff wins. New is always better.
Yeah.
So when did he start doing this, real quick?
This was just so we did we're doing 2 episodes a week just now. We started double shipping essentially like DC,
Right.
and we started at the start of last week. So there's been 3 episodes now with drawings at the end.
Alrighty.
So check that out. If that sounds interesting, check it out. I love how this is actually I've got 4 now because the Ring Zero episode went up, and he admitted to me I had no idea what to do for this one. So I particularly like it when he has no idea what to do, because it's just usually
my question is, of these last 4, are any of the movies shit enough that it doesn't matter if you haven't seen them and we can just watch the episode without having seen the movie?
Oh yeah, the first one last week was...
Good call, Pete. On that note.
Okay. Right, the second one this week was Ring Zero. That falls out of that category. Ring Zero is not very good.
Right, okay, so I can go and watch that. See his drawing without caring that.
That said, it will spoil the first movie, and you should have seen the first one's worth watching.
Oh, that's true.
Connor, YouTube has fast forward. Just go to the end.
Yeah, but I want the context.
Yeah, no, but it's funny though. I think me and Tim put on a good show. What was the first one last week? Oh, that's really gonna annoy me now. Oh,
because you've done The Conjuring. You've done The Conjuring 2.
Was it The Darkness?
Probably.
I think it was The Darkness last week. Yeah, that was the first one last week.
Maybe I'll check.
Maybe it was the one after that.
I'll see what your last few were.
What was before The Conjuring? It was the one before The Conjuring.
Guys, we're still live.
The Darkness.
The Darkness.
The Darkness. That one.
Hey.
Go watch that one if you want the
Yeah,
drawing.
they get tangents. They come here for the tangents. Thanks for watching or listening. We talk about DC Comics for most of the runtime, and
Sometimes we bring up the professor. So, did you even get your plugs in?
Yeah, I got my plugs in.
Okay.
Plugs are in.
Sure.
The other thing to add on is let us know what you thought of the books, either in the comments below on YouTube, or you can tweet at us at mild_fuzz. Email us mailedfuzz@gmail.com if you've got any questions to ask or things like that. You can do that. But that's pretty much it, guys. That's been episode 4. My favourite week yet. So we're rolling in this Rebirth train, and I'm really enjoying it. So hope you guys are too. Keep reading comics, and always, guys, don't get lost in the Speed Force.
And long live the Legion.